'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless America. God bless our flag. Haley, who is going to be a senior at Peru High School. Thank you. Judge on it. Got a chair that says bomb competition winner right there. There's a couple chairs. Anybody that wants to sit down, I got chairs. I brought them out. We might as well use them. So I don't have a problem with you starting to, as I'm starting to talk, come on up and sit down. Thank you for the songs. I'm Jay Kendall. I'm the Veteran Service Officer. I work here at the Courthouse. I have been here for 20 years now. So 20 years I can retire, right? No, I have the best job in Miami County. No doubt in my mind, most blessed job. And today's the day that we remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we may be able to have this freedom and have these jobs and have the ability to speak our mind. And we appreciate that, and I do too. There's so many things going on for me lately. My son Thursday just got out of the Army and got home, so been super happy and busy with all that. And want to talk about a couple things before we start our program. One is that this is the day that we remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And last month at Marion Cemetery, the VA cemetery in Marion, they interned a body of a young gentleman named Fred Freet. This is Fred. And see, all you people up here can see this now because you're real close. So this is Fred. Fred was 17 when he joined the Army in 1942. He was 18 years old when he went to the island of Tarawa. How many people know where Tarawa is? Mainly Marines. Okay? Tarawa is where one of the most intense battles took place. Tarawa is an atoll. An atoll is like Diego Garcia. It's an island with water in the middle. So you can run around the island. It's about 30 miles. But if you stood on one of the beaches, the oceanside beach, and you threw a rock, you could hit water on the inside water. So it's very narrow, but very long. And Tarawa was where this gentleman was. This was one of the first battles that we had where the Marines attacked a concentrated force of Japanese soldiers. The battle lasted 3 solid days. And in 3 solid days, thousands of U.S. Marines died, to the point that they couldn't recognize who was who. They didn't know they were burying bodies because they had to, because the fight was still on. Last year, they exhumed one of the bodies, and they were able to find out through DNA that he belonged, that his name was Fred Freet. They found a nephew, a grand-nephew, here in Grant County, and his body was returned, and he was buried last month at Marion VA. He's the reason why we're here today. This is a young man, 18 years old, and he gave his life so we may have our freedoms. And we thank God for that. We thank God that he gave his life for us. Locally here, before we start again, I just want to say our clinic has no new news. Last year I said that we were going to expand, and I'm just going to hit replay, and we're going to still expand. We still got the money, but we still don't know where or how it's going to look. We're going to go from 3 doctors to 6 doctors. That's great. The sad news is that last week, Jean Hurd, who was one of our doctors, she won her appeal. Now wait, you didn't hear me. The sad news is she won her appeal. Last week she came in, and after the first day, they were not treating her right, and she put in a resignation. Yeah, so she resigned from the VA, so we don't have her as our doctor, which is unfortunate. Also locally, I want to talk about a couple things. Last week, I just received the word that one of our veterans got a 100% service connected for Camp Lejeune. So again, a Marine, so this is a Marine issue, but if you were ever stationed in Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you drank the water. If you drank the water, you are contaminated. And there are like 8 different diseases that are assumable for service-connected disabilities, and there are 15 diseases that are assumable for medical treatment. So if you know of a Marine that lived at Camp Lejeune that wasn't a Hollywood Marine over in San Diego, but he was on the East Coast at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and he's having problems, they need to come and see me because I think I can help them. I helped this other veteran. Rodney Migrant is one of our veterans. He's a Marine. He was in Vietnam, and he was just about 5 or 6 months ago, the Christmas time, was diagnosed with ALS. And the good news is that ALS is now, well, it is something that we can delay. We can delay the inevitable. It's not a quick, terrible death like it used to be. And so he is taking medicine from the VA now. The VA is giving him service-connected disabilities, and the VA is helping him with that service, with that treatment. So that is good news. The final word is that, like I said, my son Ryan, he was an Afghan veteran. He was over in Afghanistan. He's a medic. He was in combat. He was on a strike team, which meant they went out and did the roads. And he was on a road when his doctor was in the striker in front of him, and it blew up. And he had to stay there and pick up the pieces of bodies that were in that striker. And he tried to make it a career, but he has decided his family's more important, and the 16-hour days that they were making him do down at Fort Sam Houston weren't worth it. So he got out, and he is now back with us, and we thank God for that. So without further ado, I'd like to open up the ceremony. I'd like to reintroduce Haley and have her sing our Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And still remain standing for our prayer. Father God, we come to you now, humbly. We thank you for all that you've given to us, the blessings we have in this country, that we have taken advantage of and taken for granted for so long. We see other people who want to come to our country and don't understand it, but I do, and you do. We thank you that you have given us these freedoms. And Lord, these freedoms come at a price, a cost. We've had many die, many that have given their lives that we shall have these freedoms. And we thank you, Lord, for this. Thank you that you have given us these people. We ask that you guard and guide them. You watch over their souls, Lord. Help them, because as they gave their lives, we shall have life ourselves. We thank you for all that you've given to us again today. Let us go home and celebrate with our families and remember. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We have two speakers today. First speaker is Captain Martin Valadez. He's with the personnel flight at Grissom. And the second speaker is Miles Hewitt, who's running for mayor. Martin.
Good morning. I'm Captain Martin Valadez from Grissom Air Reserve Base. I am honored to speak to you here today. I would like to thank all those who serve and are serving the United States military and their families. The freedom and opportunity available to each of us every day in the United States of America is only possible by the sacrifice of those who have died in the service of our great nation. Today, on Memorial Day, we remember and honor these individuals. Every picnic, every party, and every other Memorial Day gathering, we should take a moment to remember those in our families and community who gave their lives for our country. Memorial Day was previously called Decoration Day, where citizens would decorate the graves of fallen Civil War soldiers with flowers. After World War I, it came to include soldiers from all American wars. If you haven't done so already, I would ask everyone here to take part in this tradition if possible, and go to a local cemetery and decorate the graves of the fallen soldiers. This is our tradition done for our fallen brethren, but sadly, many quickly forget or never were taught about their sacrifice and commitment. Instead, we focus on the food, drink, and fun we will be having today. Let us not forget the lives lost or the blood shed for us and for our way of life. Let us not get distracted by our wants and desires, our gadgets and our games. Let us honor and thank those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Those that died for us to live in a country that affords us all the freedoms that many of us take for granted every day. We might not always agree with our elected officials or the values of our neighbors, but we all benefit from the freedom paid for by those who went before us. They gave us their freedom so we can have ours. These freedoms come with a price. There is a continual debt that requires payment. A debt that was paid for by those that died before us is being paid by our service members fighting and dying today, and will be paid by our children tomorrow. The price of freedom is steep, so let us not forget our fallen soldiers. Let us remember them with honor. Let us tell stories about them and how they lived and died. Here is a story of one. A Medal of Honor winner named Airman First Class William Pitzenberger. He died at age 22, and this is how. Airman Pitzenberger distinguished himself by extreme valor on April 11, 1966 in Vietnam, while assigned as a pararescue crew member. On this date, Airman Pitzenberger was aboard a rescue helicopter responding to a call for evacuation of casualties in an ongoing firefight between the United States Army and a sizable enemy force. With complete disregard for his personal safety, Airman Pitzenbarger volunteered to ride a hoist to be lowered 100 feet down through the trees to the ground. On the ground, he organized and coordinated rescue efforts, cared for the wounded, prepared casualties for evacuation, and assured that the recovery operation continued smoothly. As each of the casualties were evacuated that day, Airman Pitzenbarger refused to go with them in order to get one more wounded soldier on the helicopter. After several pickups, one of the two rescue helicopters involved in the evacuation was damaged by heavy enemy fire and was forced to leave. Again, Airman Pitzenbarger stayed behind to help the wounded. In another evacuation attempt, the site came under heavy assault by a large enemy force. This caused the evacuation to be called out, leaving Airman Pitzenbarger to take up arms with his besieged infantrymen, not knowing when a helicopter would come again. As the battle raged on, he repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire to bandage the wounded, pull them out of the line of fire, and return fire whenever he could. During which time he was wounded 3 times. Despite his wounds, he fought on, braving intense gunfire, to gather and distribute ammunition collected from fallen soldiers and treat as many wounded as possible. In the vicious fighting which followed, the American forces suffered numerous casualties as their perimeter was breached, and Airman Pitzenbarger was fatally wounded. During this battle, Airman Pitzenbarger exposed himself to extreme danger by refusing evacuation and died while saving the lives of wounded infantrymen. His bravery and determination exemplify the highest professional standard and tradition of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States military. Our military has stood tall in the face of adversity during its history. The tales of gallantry and service, no matter how big or how small, should be remembered. This is the day, and this is the time to remember. Thank you.
Next is Miles Hewitt.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure and pride that I get to address the citizens of Peru, Miami County, and our veterans gathered here today. Memorial Day is the time we honor our veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice. To me, we also need to remember the families of those who have lost a loved one, for they too have made many sacrifices. There's a void left in their lives that they remember every day, not just today. Hopefully I can get through this. I'm very emotional about it. These men and women fought not only for our freedom, but the freedom of millions around the world. And through their dedication, our fallen servicemen and women, this is what allows me to be standing here before you today. Without these brave men and women, our freedom as we know it would be gone. At this time, I'd like to ask you to join me in a silent prayer for the soldiers and their surviving families who made the ultimate sacrifice. Amen. In closing, I want to thank all the men and women serving in all branches of service, protecting not only our freedom, but the freedom of everyone around the world. I also want to thank all the veterans who have served and those serving today No matter whether you serve during a time of war or a time of peace, your unselfish actions is what keeps America strong and protects the rights we have and love today. I ask this crowd gathered here today to give a big round of applause to all the veterans here and everywhere in the world. Thank you.
We thank you for coming today. This is closing our ceremony for today. This solemn time that we have. We ask that you take time today to remember the freedoms that we have and why and how we got them. If you'd like to take a moment, you can shake Bill Granto's hand, who resigned from the Plans Commission on Friday. So you can shake his hand too. Finally, the Honor Guard, we want to thank the Honor Guard for being here, the Miami County Honor Guard. They do this, for free. They are collecting flags. If you have a good flag that you want to have sent, you can take it either to the VFW or to my office, and I'll give it to the Honor Guard, and the Honor Guard goes out to all the burials of veterans, and they would bury that flag with a veteran. So that's one of the ceremonies they have. Also, if there's any of you who have retired and have time on their hands, they are taking volunteers to help to be a member of the Miami County Honor Guard. Without fail, every widow that comes in to see me thanks me of the fact that the Miami Honor Guard did such a great job at their funeral. So I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for helping out and being here with us today. Thank you very much.
Honor Guard, take charge of your troops! Honor Guard! Take arm! Order! Arm! Honor Guard, for arm! Ready! Hey! Fire! Hey! Fire! Hey! Fire! Four, hard. Present, hard. Bugle, sound, tap.
And that concludes our ceremony. Thank you very much.